Hey, Redemption. I just wanted to share a few brief updates on meal trains in the life of our church. I'll be perfectly honest, this is a part of our ministry that I had no hand in planning or strategizing. It's just taken shape over time, primarily as the women of our church have come around those who are in need to provide meals in a really encouraging way. Meal trains are a simple online process that you can set up so that people can sign up to bring meals to a family or to an individual in the church. You just visit a web page, sign up for a particular day, and then you show up and bring that meal. But if you've ever benefited from this, it's incredible when you're in a difficult, challenging season that demands more of your time and attention. When people come around you so that you don't have to worry about the food in your life at that point in time, it really is an encouragement and a blessing. And this is a practical way that we, I think, are meant to love and care for one another in the body of Christ. It's a way for us to model and to experience the love of Christ with one another. Well, the first thing that I want to say as far as an update is that we hope none of this changes in the life of our church. We don't want to create one team so that everybody goes to one person or one team to do all of our meal trains. We want you to continue looking for these needs. We want you to continue meeting these needs. And if anything, these updates I'm sharing are just an attempt for us to sort of support you in doing that and to help this ministry to flourish, particularly as the church grows. And we may not each be as personally connected with each member in the same way that we were a year ago when there were fewer of us. For instance, one thing we've run into is that there are a few people with different lists of who likes to be included in these meal trains. And of course, the problem is it's never clear exactly who has the list or which list to use. And for some people who are just coming into the life of the church who may want to be involved but might not know who to ask to get on a list, it's just not clear how to be involved. And so one really simple thing we want to do is just to create one centralized list where people can sign up to serve as what we're calling a meal train servant. To be a meal train servant is very simple. All it means is that your name and email are on this list, so that anytime we're made aware of an active meal train in the life of our church, an email will go out to the meal train servants and you'll be included in that so that you could meet that need and provide a meal if you're able to. To be a meal train servant doesn't mean that you have to provide a meal every time. It just means that you're going to be notified, and we would hope and expect that as often as you can, of course, you would be able to serve in this way. So to sign up as a meal train servant is really, really simple. All you do is go under the ministry tab on our homepage, click on meal trains, and then it says here how to get involved. And there are two steps. These are the two updates I'm sharing today. The first is just to sign up as a meal train servant. If you click that, it'll just ask you for your name, your email, phone, and any comments or questions you may have. And basically, by filling out that form, you will be added to the meal train servants list. And anytime we are aware of an active meal train in the life of our church, you'll receive an email and you'll be able to meet that need. So one thing this means is that if you are creating a meal train for someone in the life of our church, we have a list of people who want to serve by meeting those meal train needs. And so just let us know. In particular, you can notify Pastor Ron and send him the link to that meal train, and he will forward it on to this list of meal train servants. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should just rely on the meal train servants. They can probably meet a good portion of those needs, but if you're making a meal train for someone in the church, we also want to include people in their small group, people who they serve with, or just people who they're closest with. You might even want to ask them for the email addresses of their family members so that they can be included, right? So again, this is not the end-all solution, but we do feel it's a helpful solution to include everybody who wants to be included in the best possible way. And so consider signing up then today as a meal train servant and then being notified anytime there's an active meal train in the life of our church. And the next way that we want to support you in these meal train processes is simply to provide a way to request a meal train. So if you don't know how to create a meal train, but you know someone who needs one, or if you're somewhat new to the church and probably somebody isn't going to know to provide you with a meal train because maybe they don't know of a certain life circumstance that you might need one for, you can request a meal train either for yourself or, again, someone else in the church. It's very simple. If you just click request a meal train on this meal trains page, they'll send you to a form and you can provide a bit of information about the particular need. And then what we will do is put all of that information together into an actual meal trains page. We'll do all the back end work that's required. And then we will share that new meal train with the meal train servants, and we'll share the link with you so that you could pass it on to anyone else that you would like to include in the process. So if you're already active with meal trains in the life of our church, please don't change that or stop that in any way. Maybe just consider signing up as a meal train servant so that you could be included on that list that is notified of active meal trains. And also let us know if you are coordinating a meal train so that we can pass it on to the rest of the meal train servants as well. And if you're not involved in meal trains in the life of our church, or you haven't been up to this point, consider maybe how you could. Maybe you could serve as a meal train servant. Or if you have a personal need for a meal train, just let us know. We'd love to try and meet that need for you. Or if you're aware of someone else in the life of our church who could benefit from a meal train, again, let us know. At the end of the day, again, we're not trying to overhaul or centralize this entire process. We just want to provide these simple ways to support one another as we together as the members of Redemption Church strive to love one another with the love of Christ, to embody Christ's love in the life of our church. So we hope these updates are helpful and encouraging to you, and we wish you all the best in your next meal train endeavors.